Hello, and welcome back to the Quad Life. Well, it has been a couple weeks since I've done a regular video, and those weeks have been pretty busy. As I talked in several videos this year, I have been having a lot of trouble with my trach button. And I went to my doctor, and we tried several different solutions of doing some chemicals around it to try to get rid of excess skin, and we even did a laser around it once. I tried to do video of some of these things, but unfortunately it wasn't allowed, so I guess you can imagine things as you want, which could be interesting, but I'll leave that up to you. However, no matter what we did, it kept having problems of draining and just being really bleh all summer long. So therefore, in late October, and 2 weeks ago, as of this recording, we went ahead and changed the button. Now, I got my trach button in October of 2015. So it had been almost exactly 7 years since I got the button placed from having my trach. And in those years, I found out a few things that changing the button would not really be that easy. Doing the trach as I had for 30 years, I was very used to it, that changing it was easy. It literally could just fall out if the trach ties were off, and I actually had fun blowing it out when we changed it. Yes, I'm strange, but that's me. So I didn't know what it was going to entail with changing the button. So I was a little apprehensive of what I was going to experience, and my caregiver and I had an appointment earlier in the day, and we stopped at a new place for lunch called Ben's Burgers that actually was kind of good, but I was eating lunch and kind of like, all right, well, what are we gonna get into here? I do have full feeling around my trach area. I'm like, well, is this going to be really painful? Or what? Because a friend of mine also has a trach button, and he has had his for like 40 years now. He's a fellow old-time quad like me. And he said the first time he changed it, it went okay. But subsequent times, it was quite the ordeal, and as he said, quite unpleasant. Like, thanks. He was the one who encouraged me to go this route anyway. So I eventually got to the doctor, and kind of sitting there, and he looks at the trach button first, and they asked about what we'd expected of what's going on. It takes out the plug that we normally do that allows us to suction or that kind of thing. However, it also leaves an open hole in my throat, and I'm not allowed, or I'm not able to talk. So I'm mouthing words to my assistant back here. Try to remember to add some lubrication to try to get it out. And so the doc did, and thankfully it came out pretty well. It was not quite as easy as the trach was, of course, but thankfully the pain-wise wasn't too bad. And when the button was out and I just had my trach stomach there, she looked at it a little bit and everything looked good. And then it was trying to decide what to put back in. And unfortunately, the button that I use is no longer in production. But I do have at least one, if not two extras that I have on hand and that we brought with me. So first, he wanted to try another one of the buttons I brought. And the buttons have spacers with them. And we kind of investigated before we took my first button out of what those spacers do. I thought, if I remember correctly, from the first time I got this one placed, was that they added space, that they stick out more. However, looking at it more, that may not have been quite correct. And it looked like more the case that they just add basically girth to it, that they make it bigger or a little bit less. So he looked at that a little bit, and so when he put in the new button, he didn't quite like what he had for a spacer on it, and they had to take it out again, which again wasn't completely comfortable, but thankfully wasn't too bad. And changed the spacer on it, and was happier with it that time. So I put the button in and then put in the closer plug again, and thankfully it went all right. It was possible that I did, or that I was going to have to go back to my regular trach. So I had brought everything for that as well. But thankfully I didn't have to do that, at least. Not yet. So the day that I had everything done, the area was sore and still having problems, as well as about 24 hours later. However, then everything started to clear up a little bit, and I did some medicine around it. Again, I'd already tried antibiotics previous to all this changing, and that really didn't do enough. And thankfully, just a couple days after doing the antibiotic drops and changing it, everything finally cleared up. There was no drainage problems. It was clear. I wasn't getting my shirts all dirty, and it wasn't as sore. So thankfully that has seemed to help quite a bit. Now, the last couple days before this recording, I've started to have some problems with it again, but I've also had some other issues going on as well. So I'm hoping those two are related. But one thing that I've noticed is that previously the button stuck out a little ways from my skin, and we could access it a little bit easier. But now, after the change, it's really flush with my skin and doesn't stick out as much. So I'm kind of concerned if that will get more problems later on, especially when I'm laying flat in bed and kind of squished. But I guess time will tell on that, and there will be more things to bring up with the quad life. But I believe that's about it for now, and I will see what we come up with next time. But until then, have a great week, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.